I'm going to start. Yeah. All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order for the Polk County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, October 8th, 2024. All commissioners are present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First up is comments for items not on the agenda. Public speaking time. We did have a visitor, no?
Oh, he wasn't gonna speak, he just wanted to observe.
Okay.
Yeah, he told me that.
All right, hearing none. Moving on to approval of the agenda.
Also move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed unanimously. Approve minutes of October 1st.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, passed unanimously. Polk County Fairgrounds update. Tim and Tina show. Sorry, that was probably sexist. Tina and Tim show, sorry.
She's way more important than me, you know that.
I'm just where all the crap falls.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for giving us the time to visit with you this morning. For the record, my name is Tim Ray. I serve as the chairman of the Polk County Fair Board. We're here to share an annual update with you, not only at the fair, but year-round activities as well. Answer any questions along the way and just have an honest, open discussion about the fairgrounds and the future that we've envisioned for it moving forward. So we'll start with, I think, some really good news, and then there's some other things mixed in there, but overall, some really positive news this year. Fair admission revenues were up 15% this year. If you were there, you noticed the fairgrounds were busy just about all the time. It had a wonderful buzz to it this year as you walked around the grounds. The family area was a huge hit. There was always people out there. We got lots of positive comments about the mini golf, about the virtual reality, about the jumpy houses. There was just a lot of things for the youngers to do. So we were very pleased with overall fair admission revenue numbers. Fair staffing, we hired 24 temp employees, mostly teenagers. They did a fantastic job. Really, really dedicated young folks. We had a couple of groups. We had a group cancel on us for the kids area, so I think I hire a few more temp employees. They're no longer on the list of groups to go to ask for help. We need you when we need you, and canceling on us the Monday of fair puts us in a real bind. But fortunately, we were able to get some teenagers to come in and help, and they did a great job. DMLA did the parking again, and Job's Daughters did admissions, and that all went very well. Rodeo crowd, the longest line I saw at the back gate, we had about 15 or 20 folks waiting in line. And we kept letting them know that they could buy their tickets online and get in the short line. But no one waited more than 10 or 15 minutes to get into the rodeo. And as you know, the rodeo was packed. We even brought in extra stands and those were packed. So continues to be a big draw for us. The livestock auction Saturday morning, we had 2 less animals than last year, but we generated 10% more. We crossed the $600,000 mark at that youth livestock auction. Support for youth in this county continues to be incredible. I tell you, every year when I came here in 2004, that auction netted $80,000. So in 20 years, it has almost tenfolded. It's amazing. It is amazing the support this county gives to its youth.
It seems to be a trend, though, in all fairness.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
All counties.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That is absolutely, that is a great point, Commissioner. Thank you. It is, I mean, I think it's important to note the support agriculture gives to agriculture and to youth. They will not let folks interested in agriculture and those learning those important skills that are going to benefit them in life go without some sort of support. And it is truly amazing across this country and across this state. And it's awesome to see it hold true here in Polk County. Sponsorship, cash sponsorship, which includes banners, donations, and things like that. We're down just slightly this year. But remember, we had that $7,000 sponsorship last year that we didn't have again. And so to only be down 1.5% is pretty awesome. In-kind was also down, but that's because we had that large donation of sand last year that kind of was, we had a blip in sponsorships last year because of the arena and all of the things that came with that. And so relatively speaking, we were very pleased with our donations. Premiums for 4-H, FFA, and open class, again, were covered from donations from Polk County Farm Bureau, Solid Rock Excavating. In total, we paid out just over $1,800 in premiums. Vendor booths, we had 12 vendor booths. So that was food. Yeah, sorry, food. That was 2 less than last year. And Oregon Beverage did all of our alcohol. Our coffee vendor canceled again last minute on Tuesday, but we have one already lined up for next year. So you'll be able to get your hot cup of Joe next year. So put that on the calendar. Even though we had 2 less food vendors, food sales were up 5.5%. So those vendors that were there were very happy and made good revenue. Alcohol sales were up 22.5%. So Oregon Beverage was very happy. 50 commercial booths, 8 more than last year. Fair Board had a special booth this year with lots of information about our new master plan. And we had some great conversations with folks that visited that booth. We had a survey available. We did not get great participation in the survey. I will tell you, everybody that took the survey was 100% in favor, but that number is too low to be credible. And so we'll be completely transparent with you. But we did have great individual conversation with folks looking at the master plan, and everyone that we talked to understood the need for it, loved the concepts, concerned about how to raise the money to do it. Right. Let's be honest. That's the elephant in the room. How do we get there? But again, really, really good at conversations. Open class exhibits were down a little bit, but exhibitors were up. So more people bringing fewer things. So yeah, it is what it is. We were missing some superintendents in photography and horticulture, but we made it happen with some really great volunteers. A board member steps into horticulture and does a great job. So we make it work. 4-H and FFA exhibits, FFA had 80 exhibitors. So number of exhibitors for FFA was down a little bit, and exhibits were down as well. 4-H had 240 exhibitors, which was up, and almost 2,400 exhibits total between static, all of the different ways that students can exhibit in 4-H, and that was up 7%. So overall, student numbers fairly consistent. Fundraisers, 6 fundraisers at the fairgrounds, raising almost $630,000. Again, 600 of that was from the youth livestock auction. Fair events, we talked about the Rough Stock Rodeo, always a popular draw. Again, packed house for that. New this year was the FMX Rampage Dirt Bike Show on Friday night, which again filled the stands. It drew a great crowd and a different crowd from the rodeo. We were very excited to have them. In fact, I think we've already booked them for next year. And so it was a fantastic show for Friday night. Obstacle courses, bouncy house. We talked about the kids area again, the family area being a huge hit. Virtual reality tent was a success, and we have plans to move that inside next year to be darker and just give a little better environment for that. But for a first go, fairly low budget. It was a pretty big success for us. Mini golf, again, we had that in the kids area and some oversized games. The sheriff's display, the steam machine from Dallas Community School. So a lot of things for children of all ages to partake in. May or may not have partaken in some myself. So National Guard had the rock wall there. Again, was awesome. The auction Saturday morning draws a big crowd. Breakfast for those buyers is always a big hit. We already held our recap 3 weeks ago on the 19th. huge crowd. But people that were facetious, that we had 3 people show up, but we see that as a great thing. Nobody showed up to sign up, to complain.
Complain.
They were all there talking about what a success fair was. And so, and we excluded, so this was for vendors. We will have our fair recap with the livestock 4-H and FFA at our steering committee meeting, which is next Monday.
Mhm.
Okay, so next Monday, we'll do the animal side. This was for the vendor side. And again, very positive comments from everybody. That's it for the fair. Any questions for that week? I know it dominates the report and it shouldn't because we do a lot of year-round things and we'll get into that next, but any questions, comments,
I'll tell you, that family area was so much fun.
right?
Everything was free.
Yeah.
Those kids were running everywhere. And that water slide.
Yeah.
We're talking to a friend of ours and her 7-year-old son comes up and says, Mom, this is great. And he just soaked away. She says, where have you been? I went down the slide.
Yeah.
And he took off running again.
Yeah.
And she said, how am I going to get him in the car? So it was,
Well,
but
yeah.
that was a great success. And the corn thing and
Yep.
all the trucks and the duck races, I mean, it just didn't stop. So we had our granddaughter, she was on overload, way too much stuff.
Yeah.
But it was total fun.
We thank you guys for your help in getting that field cleared.
Yeah, we needed that Thursday night big time.
That really screwed us very much so. And then even when they did cut it, they cut it in an L shape, which made it really difficult to park vehicles, but we do appreciate the help and
Yeah,
we'll jump on that a little earlier next year.
He assured me it won't happen again.
Okay. It was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Get a Sunday night call saying we can't park our trailers.
yeah,
But we appreciate the help. Thank
Yes.
you.
You're welcome.
You were a lifesaver for us.
yeah. That was huge.
I want to make certain that we also plug in recognition and thanks to all the folks that were involved in the people mover.
Oh, yes.
So if you
Yes.
would address that,
Yeah,
please.
it's actually coming up. We have
Okay.
it all, we have it on there also, but yeah,
All right.
that was
Great.
huge to get that. But yes, we have that in here as well. Thank you for reminding us. We'll go into year-round facility usage, and this always amazes people. It was one of the comments we got at our fair board booth this year. They had no idea that over 600 events occur at that fairgrounds on a yearly basis. If you do the math, it's almost 2 a day, right? It's 1.5 things are booked there on a consistent basis every day. And over 104,000 people visit those fairgrounds on a year-round basis. That's every person in Polk County more than once. I mean, if you divide it up, right? 13 fundraisers throughout the year. That doesn't count the fairground, the ones that happen during the week of fair. And those generate over $150,000. So total fundraisers that occur at the fairgrounds on a year-round basis, top $750,000. That money stays here in Polk County and gets reinvested by those entities that are conducting those fundraisers. Events were booked for all of 2024 and we're booking into 2026 already. Side note, if you've visited downtown Rick Real, you've noticed that the air isn't as fresh as it has always been, and it is affecting our business. It is affecting our bookings. It is affecting events not wanting to return. I don't know that there's anything that we can do about it. We want it noted, though, that it is affecting the fairgrounds and the events that can occur there. When people are booking home shows and things like that, they know they're booking a fairgrounds. They don't expect that it's going to smell like a CAFO.
We
And
lost
so-
a really large event in July. They had already booked the facility, came in to tour for one last tour and wanted me to guarantee that smell would not be there. And I couldn't do that, so they left.
Yeah.
So it has impacted
And I-
so far.
Lived in Polk County for a long time and it's a different, yeah, we'll leave it at that. You're well aware. We know that. We just want it on the record. Storage opened a little earlier this year. Later, because it just in case there was wildfire risk, we wanted to have space to put things. If there was a repeat of what happened up in the canyon. Raised our price a little this year, but nobody's complained. Covered storage is expensive and people know that and they value that their things are going to be safe with us when they bring it. Concessions, Jesus is still doing our events and a few of the bigger ones. along with the flea market. Grounds, buildings and equipment, Western Interlock redid the bricks around the little flower bed at the end of building B that cover up the sewage tanks there. They did that on their own. They donated the supplies and the labor to do it. They did it right before fair and it looks great. So we thank them a ton. That was awesome. Dalkey came out and fixed the ceiling tiles in the main room that had failed due to too much insulation. Here's our people mover. David Rack spent 3 months getting donations and building us a people mover. It fit the bill perfectly. It was awesome. It saves people a ton of time, especially when they have to park out in the back 40 for the rodeo. People mover made a couple of rounds through there and dropped them off right at the south gate or I guess it's the back gate and then continued up to the front gate. So we're eternally grateful for his efforts in rally. And again, it goes to show the support for the fairgrounds in general, that people are willing to step up and donate for things like that.
And
So
David did all of that footwork himself. We
Yeah.
did not go out and get
Nope.
any donations. We were in the middle of getting ready for fair. He went out, he got the tires donated. A lot of the metal was donated, the wood was donated. Almost everything he got for that was donated.
Yeah.
And he's the one who hit the pavement running.
Yep. Yep.
Even the orange paint that he insisted on having Kubota orange. So he went down to Brick Royal Farm Supply and said, I can't do it without Kubota orange. And then we hauled it
we
around.
blew with a red tractor though, so.
His tractor bed. But this way we no longer have to rely on us borrowing that equipment, which we've done for years. But as you all know, we're all getting older.
Yeah,
Some of us are retiring, so we're losing those people that have been so good to us. So this was perfect
Yep.
timing
Yep.
to be able to not have to worry about how we would get a people mover every year. And he did an amazing job. It even has a wheelchair ramp on it.
Mhm.
So what has been the official gratitude that's been displayed to him?
We have not done that
we
yet.
we will do that. That's a fair board.
Yeah,
We will
and
do
Yeah.
and part of
I mean-
that reason is because he left right before fair and right after fair because grandma was very ill in Idaho. So he has been gone.
So if you'd like, I think that we can help with that.
We would love that.
I also want to make certain that I put on the record, I'd like him to get a commissioner's coin for that. So we don't give those out very much.
No.
And that one at least is from the board, a point of recognition for his work. It's a coin, but
It's the.
like I said, it is something that we don't put out very much. And so Nicole's noting here to help us get some official
We would
certification.
love that.
And maybe we can do it in a way that gets our signatures and the fair board signatures.
Absolutely.
He didn't get much payment otherwise, so
Yeah.
we at least ought to give him lots of gratitude in that regard. And is there anybody else that should be included in that or?
Well,
Wanna be
the donors,
correct.
there's some big donors,
Right.
Steel, Ramco Steel, who
Ramco, yeah.
originally told him no, but if any of you know
He
David,
doesn't take no well.
he doesn't believe in the word no. So he went back 2 or 3 times and they finally, to get rid of him, just donated the whole, and all he had asked for was half. They donated it all because they didn't want him in his office anymore.
That was Ram Steel.
Yes. So yes, there, and we have a list of donors that really stepped up. The Ag West Point S tires.
Oh, Point S, yep.
Donated the tires and wheels, and all of that. So there's more than David, but David really, this wouldn't have happened without
Yeah, he
him.
was the spearhead behind it.
Yeah, and he went to such detail to remember things that he and I talked about for years about safety. David worked for me the first year that he was in 8th grade, the first time he worked for me, and now married with 2 kids. And he remembered to put the non-skid on the steps and a little chain across. And I mean, he showed me all the little details for safety that he remembered to do. So he needs to be thanked.
Yep.
And he never asked for a thank you. It's not who he is.
No.
He just wanted us to have our people mover.
Mhm.
So perhaps we can also get him invited to and be presented here.
That would be
Excellent.
great.
If we can make that arrangement as well, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, Nicole's noting, so.
Thank you. We appreciate
Yeah.
that very much.
Awesome. Overnight camping continues to be strong. Dump station again is very popular. We did look into a booking system for overnight camping and didn't really find anything that fit the needs of how we operate that part of the facility. So fiscal, here's the not so fun part. Fiscal financially, the fair still struggles. We know that revenues don't equal expenses. And we can't thank the county enough for being that lifeline for the fairgrounds. We continue to work on bringing in more revenue, more events. Again, we're about maxed out with the number of events for the facility that we currently have. And so you've seen the master plan and how that plays out. There are some things working in the legislature to hopefully maybe lift the cap off those lottery funds and start to give fairgrounds the percentage that they were promised when that was all done. No idea if those will get pushed through or not, but we know we have several members that are working on that and very thankful for that. Fair Board itself, our annual work session again will be in February 8th, 2025. Meeting will be on the growth and future of the fairgrounds. The last couple of years, we focused entirely on the fair. This year, it won't be about the fair. It'll be about the grounds itself and year-round operation and how we do some sustainable growth around that. Three Fair Board members who terms expire this December. Myself, Will, and Paul. I think you've already reappointed all of us. Thank you for that. We do enjoy the work that we do there. We know we're running short right now, and we are working on finding folks that would be great matches for the Fair Board. And when we find them, we'll put them through the process and get those names to you as soon as we can. Staff, we did hire a camp host who lives in the residence there and helps with overnight and the dump station and those types of things. She's been awesome. The challenge is finding the hours that we need to plug her in. So that's still a growth process there, but she's been very amenable to the things that need to happen. New custodian as well, doing a great job. Hired an office manager. That's been a lifesaver for Tina and making sure things flow through the office properly. She started less than a month before fair and got a bunch of things dumped on her, and it just did absolutely amazing. We stole her from the water company in Rick-Real, and so they weren't super happy with us, but we were pretty happy that she's a former student too. I actually had her one of my first years at Dallas, and so she's done great. Operations, again, Flavio continues to do a great job. Fairgrounds has not looked and been in the shape that it is currently for decades, and a lot of that's due to support from the county, but also Flavio and his ability to make things happen and get things fixed. So again, Fair Board is working on future plans. You've seen the master plan. We've had great discussions about that. Still open to discussions about how we start that process and how we build the fairgrounds that Polk County deserves and that Polk County can utilize. So questions, comments, insertions, deletions, other concerns?
Great job. My son and I visited the fair, I think 4 times.
Awesome.
Spring
Thank you
fair.
for that.
It would have been every day, all day.
Yeah.
Had he been the dictator.
He been the driver of that, yeah.
So just to echo Lyle's comments on how family friendly and accessible it is, you know, some of the bigger, state fair, bigger fairs, it's just jam-packed, every square foot is jam-packed with carnival stuff. It's just a money drain for families. And this is just so accessible. It's just scaled nicely. So really appreciate all the work and all the detail that goes into it. I think the average visitor doesn't understand how much work goes into it just to prep for that one. Just a comment on the upcoming levy. I appreciate your statement that you really want to get out to the wider public. I'm glad we got some feedback from fairgoers, but given that this would be a countywide levy, really we want to be intentional about whether town halls or whatever, because
Tina and I are prepared to do the roadshow this fall and
Sweet.
winter
Mhm.
to really get
Cool.
out to civic groups and nonprofits and all the gatherings and really talk about the fairgrounds, where we're at, what we do, and where we think we can go with some support.
Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as you know, there's a lot of competition right now with the levies and bonds, for good or ill.
Yeah, I don't know anything about upcoming bonds.
Appreciate that. Great job.
My turn.
Speaking of. Okay,
Levies. Here's some information for you all.
We get one too?
Gotta share that.
That's
We'll
okay.
share.
That's okay.
So, just to give you a little background, obviously this isn't my first rodeo on levies. If we plan on doing a levy for the fair, here's the timetable you're probably looking at. Sometime in November and December, there will need to be an internal staff recommendation to the board to move forward with considering a levy to put on the May ballot. The next dates in that timetable are required table dates. You'll have to have a public hearing. The last time you can hold a public hearing is going to be February 12th. Then you're going to have to consider a board order. If you want to move forward with the levy, that would be February 26th. I would have to deliver that measure to the county clerk prior to your normal filing deadline, because they got to review it for all the things that they do. Once that review process and appeal is over, then we have to fill out another form and turn that in by March 20th for the election that would occur on May 13th. The other two things down below would be more outside of staff, and that is the formation of a PAC and probably a schedule of meeting with advocacy groups and city councils and those kind of things. So that's just for the timetable piece. There's a lot of work that has to go in between those dates. If you are truly considering a levy, if you go to the next page, here are the potential, or at least what I see is the potential measures on the ballot for May of 25. For sure, you're gonna have probably the city of Dallas with their police station. You can call it a remodel, you can call it a complete tear down reconstruction. I think they're looking at, I couldn't find the exact number, but it's 15 to 17 million, I believe, but don't know for sure. But that's gonna be on the May ballot for sure. City of Independence is currently going out in November for a levy, $1.82. If I were a betting man, I'd risk everything with a defeat on that one. Just that magnitude is going to be too much for them to swallow, as they already have the highest tax rate in the county. So my guess is they will be going back out after they potentially lose in November for something in May that is going to be a lesser amount. What that will be, I don't know. So Central School District is reissuing bonds in the November election. Don't know how the public's going to react to that. That could potentially be on the May ballot also. And then Falls City School District is going out for an operating levy. I didn't see the dollar amount. But my guess is if they fail in November, they'll be on in May also. Probably the good thing about it is, of all those measures, the fair would be probably the least amount of ask for the general public. But there could be a lot of traffic on that ballot, and it's easy to just say no, 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 no. But you may get the sympathy vote, and they say, if we're gonna vote for one, let's vote for the cheapest. So, it goes both ways.
We can do the puppy dog eyes. That's okay.
Yeah. At the bottom of that sheet is I just gave you a range of 10 cents, 12.5 cents and 15 cents and what it would generate in revenue. So every penny, if approved in May, would bring in $87,500. So 10 cents is gonna be $875. 15 cents is gonna be a little over 1.3 million. So I didn't go higher because I think you're probably at your peak at 15 cents, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, there are needs in that, which takes us to page 3. And basically this timetable is based on a 15-cent levy. It gives you about $1 million of improvement money to work with each year. There's going to be just a portion of that levy that's going to be needed for operations and that. So I remove that and basically gives you, if you go with the 15 cents, you have about $1 million a year to work with. I basically did years 1, 2, 3, and 4. Obviously, there's going to be inflation, and that inflation potentially will outweigh the growth in natural assessed value and that. So some of those things are going to get pushed to year 5. You would be going out for a 5-year levy, but you may reauthorize after 4, like we do with the public safety levy. So those are things you can look at. All this work essentially is for facilities that would remain intact if we were able to move forward with the expansion of the fairgrounds and the new master plan. So those are the things that you would want to look at. These are kind of in priority order, in my opinion, but depending on how much money is available and what the final costs are, those could shift up and down. But so those are what you have. There's some big ticket items in there. Paving, resurfacing your hard areas right now, whether it be with asphalt, whether it be with paving stones on the interior, don't know. There's probably a little money in there for expansion of the asphalt also, but not a complete coverage of the whole area out there. You have the electrical replacement upgrades. I got a tentative schedule on that. You're probably looking at $650,000 if you do everything for the existing buildings. You're probably another $500,000 to $600,000 on new service for expansion in that, but that would be included in that expansion amount. So I didn't include it in this. Then you have upgrades to the main building, both exterior, interior, and HVAC. And then you have the relocation of the maintenance and paint out to the south portion of the property. Then once that gets leveled in that, you would then could construct a main office area, move Tina and the office staff out of the main building and into a smaller admin building. So those are in there. You probably will need to do some upgrades to buildings B and C. And the one thing that would fit in the master plan is probably begin to develop and finish the area for an amphitheater stage in the northwest corner of the fairgrounds property. So I did this fairly quick yesterday, but again, it's not my first rodeo, so I have a pretty good understanding of what you need out there. What this would do is give them the operational money, give them some more flexibility and beautify the existing fairgrounds, which may piggyback onto going out for a bond or anything for a future expansion. You're never going to be able to do the future expansion with a levy. Just can't do it. Well, you could, but it's gonna be really expensive. So you would have to go with a bond. And the bond would probably be over a 30-year bond or something like that, because you're not gonna build anything out there that hopefully won't last at least 30 years. What those numbers would be 5 years from now, I have no idea, with inflation and everything. And I'm sure we will modify the master plan or tentative master plan right now to reconfigure and do some things, but this would lay a foundation. It would prove to the taxpayers that, you know, you're serious about the fairgrounds and its importance to the county as a expo type center. And once they see improvements and beautification, then that builds momentum for future things. So that's it in a nutshell.
So on an average assessed home of 300,000, Polk County's average home,
Yeah.
what would be the tax liability of 15 cents?
45,
$45 a year.
well, 45 additional dollars
Yeah.
on their tax bill.
The master plan, it's almost a 10-year plan. I'm guessing if everything gets passed,
So what you're
levy
gonna,
and bond.
in my mind, and I won't be around, so, but
That's what you think.
well, that's more discussions, really a lot with my wife. You're probably gonna do, if you are successful in getting this 5-year levy, you're gonna probably reassess after 4 years of what do we want to do? Do we want to move forward with a bond and a lesser levy? You're gonna always need a levy out there
Yeah.
To cover the operating costs.
to cover the operating costs. If you move it into a bond for the construction and the expansion of the fairgrounds, you're probably going to need 5 years or 4 years from now, a levy that is probably less than 5 cents.
Yeah.
So, you know, but if you're not gonna do that and you want to do, you know, little extra things, you know, build a new barn, build this. Yeah, and now you're looking at it probably a 25 to 30-year plan. If you kept it at 15 cents, you could start banking money to build a bigger project and those kind of things. But this first year or this first levy would address almost everything that is existing out there that you plan on keeping.
Immediate.
You're not making improvements to the arena, because if you're gonna move the arena, why put money into the arena? Now, you know, people want the arena to be improved, but that's on hold, in my opinion, because I don't think you want to go out for a bond at this time, because there's too many asks out there and potentially it's going to get worse. I think a small levy that has not a lot of impact on the taxpayer is probably your only chance. But, you know, like I said, there could be a lot of traffic on the ballot in May. There, you know, may not be. We'll see how November goes for a lot of them. But, you know, at least City of Dallas is going to be looking at a bond. If they're going out for 15 million or whatever, it'll probably be a 30-year bond. It's gonna cost them $1, you know, per household, which, you know, is $300 for a $300,000 house.
My guess is that's the new normal unless there's some tax reform. But
Yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath, but, yes, there's gonna be more pressure on, entities, you know. The other things I don't know about are fire districts for sure, and any other special districts. I didn't look at City of Salem because I don't know if they know always what they're gonna do or how they reconfigure everything in that, so. There's a void on this City of Salem side. So I don't know them, so there could be more traffic on the May ballot, but I don't think there will be, so.
Thank you, Greg. Good work.
You're welcome.
Gives us some, at least stepping stones, you know, to start working towards our plan, right?
Just a couple of things.
Yeah.
to give info. The Polk County Fair Foundation is also working on a big project at the fairgrounds. They'll start raising money, I believe in January. I know that November is they're putting the rest of their stuff together, but they're working on a large project to put concrete in our current sheep barn. Sheep and goat barn for one, it helps with disease during the fair, and the kids is all the work they put into their animals and then step out into the dirt and it rolls. And then also to be thick enough for all of the storage that we put in there. And Liberty Concrete is donating quite a bit to that. They're also working on, he'd like to do two projects out there, and the other one is the main floor in the main building. So he's put those projects together. And we've already gotten 2 large donations, so they're working on those, and they think it's gonna happen in 2025. I'm thinking 2026 in reality, but those 2 projects are going on. And the Fair Foundation is finally back on their feet trying to raise money, which has been kind of a glitch for some of us.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, but they're back doing that. And then just a quick update on the dog pound.
You want an update?
She's looking at you, Greg.
No, actually, I'm gonna update you on a couple of things. So, we're good with the dog pound.
Yeah.
But we ran into a couple of little glitches, because poor Heath was sent out there with not out much direction. So, electric wise, they were gonna try to take electricity for some reason off of building C, which won't work. But there's a transformer right there that they can take the electric off of. The other, and that's not a big glitch, that's an easy glitch. The harder glitch is the water. So all of our main lines are on the other side of the fairgrounds. So when we put the restrooms on building C, we just got where we needed to get to run those showers and toilets. Now they're wanting to add on to the water that we already have on our property to run the dog pound, and it isn't going to work. Unfortunately, they're probably going to have to get a new meter and a new line that would come off that main line so they'd have enough water. But I want to move stuff out there too, so I'll split it with you.
That's, I get to pay for it all anyway. Don't say, you know,
It's gonna help.
yeah.
But other than that, everything looks good as far as, those were the only little glitches. And honestly, the electric will be cheaper because you're running right off of that transformer.
So
So-
I can give a bit of an update on that. DC is who we're working with. They've already met with Heath. He's working on the electric, and we have a way to take care of that from the fairgrounds. Water is an issue. The last, if I'm correct, the last stall out there for RV
Yeah.
trickles water.
Yeah.
Idea, if we don't do a new line, is actually to add a pump in there that will actually pump
Right.
water
Yeah.
out and faster. So there are options out there, but whatever you guys want to do, if you want to do a new line and Greg wants to pay for all of it, then let me know. But
You're probably gonna have to do a new line if you're going to relocate the maintenance shed.
Mhm.
Everything,
yeah,
Right, because that would pull off that same
Will have
line.
to happen eventually.
Yeah.
yeah, so
They're by-
we'll figure it out and see how much that adds. But
But other than that, everything else looks really good for that area.
Something else to consider. So as soon as my wife heard that we were gonna do this, she's like, she called the sheriff's office and said, how do I volunteer? You can recruit these dog lovers
Right?
to the fair for volunteers. Just something to keep in mind.
There you go.
That's fantastic. As long as the dogs stay over there.
That's right.
Again, we can't thank the county enough for the support that they've shown to the fairgrounds. It's been absolutely amazing. We value the partnership that the county provides us, and we hope that we return that as well in terms of value to the county. We really do believe in the fairgrounds, and it is a resource for the county, and we thank you for investing in it.
And any ideas for new board members? We would love to hear. Everyone who's turned in an application, Nicole has been kind enough to immediately send to me. I have called every one of them and
They
asked
never show
them to
up.
come to a fair board meeting so that they understand what it means to be on the fair board, and no one has ever shown up.
We're really a friendly group. I
We
don't know why
are.
they won't show up.
So if you,
Offer free food.
Oh, well, okay.
no, we quit doing that.
Yeah,
because
well-
They ended up being 4-hour meetings.
Hey, she hasn't fed me in a long time.
No. Oh, I'm out.
You want new board members then?
We do have some great 4-H leaders who are retiring, who have had some requests of what it means to be on the board. Very much interested, but wanted to know what the big picture was, because that's really important. Us that somebody not come on our board just for the fair or just for one show, but that they understand the whole picture, and that the fair is one of 600 events.
Right.
And that we have to look at everything. So gotten some good feedback from that. So I'm hoping,
Some veteran members who can help mentor these
I know,
newbies.
right? So we are still looking, unfortunately. We're a weird group of people because we are open-minded and look at all things, and some people come in with that,
We can't have people with tunnel vision. so.
no, or an agenda.
It's partly why we have this process now to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
2 of those people left because of those reasons.
right.
Their agenda did not prosper for them.
So again, the big issue on the table now in front of us after your presentation is conversations about an operating levy and how we go about that. And of course, Greg in his memo here is put first up is, an internal staff recommendation, which is you as well, and to the board about whether we move forward. I want to make certain to put on the record some discussion about at least our chat about whether or not this board says go get signatures to a PAC that hasn't been formed, or whether we just discuss just putting it directly on the ballot. So I want to make certain that we also talk about some of those processes going forward. And
You don't need signatures on this. This will be a county initiative. So if you were forming a district, I would say show that there's support of that and require the signatures. But on a levy like this, it is, and because the fairgrounds is part of the county, it's a county initiative. You don't need signatures, not even required. So I wouldn't go that route. I would just go the public hearing route. Also, then if you want to do before the public hearing, some informational type open houses that we did like for the public safety levy. It was obviously more money and more discussion required. You're not duplicating any services that exist in cities. You always have that. Well, we're already paying for city police. Why should we pay for county and those kind of things? You don't have any argument here. Fairgrounds is unique. It's serves the whole county. It serves multiple organizations who utilize the fairgrounds. So, but open houses are always still good to get just the general input from around the community. Does West Salem use it as much as Monmouth, Independence, Dallas? But it's open to everybody. So I would do that, but you're starting to get into campaigning and I'm not supposed to really be doing that, but I mean, that's how we've done it in the past. Put together some fact sheets. Here's what you're gonna get. Here's what we're looking to do. Be honest with them that this levy will probably continue in the future if voter support is there. It may shrink depending on how you choose to operate in the future. But this first one would be more than just an operating levy because you're going to make improvements and upgrades and those kind of things. So, just in explaining that and putting together fact sheets and that are good. Talking to chambers of commerce and getting their input and those things. And then forming a PAC would probably be necessary, doing some fundraising and all those things.
So I wanted to make certain that we got that part on the record.
Okay.
And so that as there are questions on Facebook going forward, that people can refer back to this meeting as a reference for, yes, we discussed it. Yes, here's the reasons why we're doing it this way versus the mystery that people will create out of it. Frankly, I don't want to wait much longer because I certainly want to give all of the proponents an opportunity to join in a PAC and for us to be able to discuss it with community members. So this timetable, I think really, as Greg has indicated, latest dates. So the process with the clerk's office, I don't think is all that complicated, but I want to make certain that this board is ready to move forward, not to vote on it, but to move forward at expediting a timeline for our decisions so that we can help the community members get started and our fair board get started. So discussion.
Yeah, I support the timeline. I'm also feeling not impatience, but I'd like us to get moving. But do understand that the holidays are coming up at the end of the year and getting kind of that public input and doing the road shows. I just kind of want to make sure that people who will be leading this don't feel too rushed.
Craft fair might be a good time to have an informational session. There are thousands of people that.
Part of my motivation for the speaking here.
Yeah,
There you
no,
go.
that's a great opportunity to launch off into and have some great input at it.
Yeah.
That's our next big event and we all sign up to be there and.
I don't think any of us feel rushed. We've been discussing this for many years. We're just getting down to the nitty gritty now is where we are. So, and we're all pretty confident in what we want and what we want to do.
Yeah.
So I don't think any.
We're ready when you
Yeah,
are.
I
So
don't think any of the fair board. I think at least for me, I need clear direction on what my next steps are from you because this is new for me. So, sorry.
do
you're gonna
whatever,
have to
whenever, we
bait me
just-
through this one because I really don't know.
So in my opinion, the next steps are the fair board formally request of the board to consider an operating levy in the amount of whatever.
Okay.
I wouldn't go less than 10, but I wouldn't go more than 15. But if you say 25, it's gonna get shrunk to 15 anyway, so don't do it. But you can do whatever you want. I'm not telling your board what to do, but I think it needs to be generated inside the fair first
And then official.
and then move it to a formal discussion with the board in a Tuesday and then the board directing staff to put together a internal recommendation. It's not going to be much different than what I just provided you, other than there'll be a narrative. Those timetables, like I said, the hard dates on there are the clerk dates and the board hearing dates. I can't turn in anything beyond February 28th. You could hold your public hearings in January. We can turn it in early. Those are drop dead dates because you're gonna have one hearing, then you're gonna have an order 2 weeks later. And those are your drop dead dates. Whether there's a staff recommendation in November, whether it's in December, it really doesn't matter. When you start to have, civic groups and that you're presenting to or open houses, you probably want to have at least had the staff recommendation already occurred. And then you gather more input prior to your public hearings and those kind of things. But I think it should come from the fair board first because it is a fair project. The fair board's there to serve a purpose and to operate the fair and push it that way. And then the board concurs or doesn't concur with that. So
We'll get you an official recommendation. We'll get on the calendar to come back and make that formal request.
I'm on total support too. When you start doing your informational meetings, I'll be there.
Okay.
So I'll try to make as many as I can.
Yeah, and frankly, I mean, this is, every election you go out for, it's a shot over the bow. I personally wouldn't go less than 15 cents. they can say no. But I mean, to cheat ourselves from the opportunity, you know, there will be people, some people say, well, if you needed all these things, why didn't you just ask? So I think,
We all-
I think 15 cents is the right number
Okay.
personally, but I would like to see us get going. So there's your direction. And
Get scheduled and we'll get.
my key here is that we get something official between all of us so that we can give the community members, PAC members, a chance to
formal-
get an early
organized,
start.
Get going.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see any nice to haves. These are must haves here.
Really, this
Let's
first
make sure we
go
fund it.
is getting the fairgrounds in a space where we could expand if we had the opportunity.
We need to set ourselves up to do that
Absolutely. Yep.
responsibly.
Well, and a lot of our projects are so easy to explain why we need them. For instance, the upgrade in the electrical, we have a generator that runs our main building and building B, which has showers. Our electricity only allows us to run half of the main building.
Yeah.
Emergency wise, that's
Yeah,
a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yep.
If the Red Cross can't utilize.
So there's a lot of
everything,
little
it's-
different angles that we're able to hit when we go out and talk about the things that we need. We're not looking for pie in the sky. We're not
That's right.
looking for the Taj Mahal.
So, question?
So, pardon my ignorance, I haven't been hugely politically active in my years. But, like, is it appropriate for me to ask a question regarding something that was briefly mentioned in the statement that was made?
Well, you've got the floor, so you might as well get it done.
You mentioned, the issue of the odor in the community that affects the fairgrounds to some degree. They mentioned that they have lost business. I wasn't aware of the fairgrounds issue or the fact that they have lost business, but I live in the local community. And, you also mentioned, well, I'm aware there's nothing that can be done about that. Prior to the meeting, you mentioned that the, place there is permitted. Is there anything that can be done about that from a community standpoint? Which in turn might affect the Fair Board's business.
I'm guessing at this answer, but I'm gonna guess no. Because it is, again, I have asked questions amongst the governing agencies for what's going on there, and it is permitted. And they have looked into it and are monitoring. And I think it's just a matter of it is phasing down. I think what we're experiencing right now is a pond that is fermenting, and they're distributing what's fermenting there out onto fields. And that, I think the reason why the odors are so strong is because they've been irrigating that. So that atomizes it. And so my instincts tell me, farm boy, that once the rains start, that this won't be as much of an issue. And I will be on it personally to make certain that by June, this isn't an issue. Because there are no animals there. And so for me, where my challenges come from, it's like, why are we still dealing with this when there haven't been animals there for nearly a year?
Renewing that CAFO should be difficult if there's no animals.
Yeah, the info I've gotten is it won't happen. There won't be a renewal of CAFO permit.
My understanding is, and I don't know this firsthand because I haven't been on the property, nor have I spoken directly to anyone, but the people in the community have said that part of the issue, an increased odor, far worse than what was there before, is due to the Missouri farms who are dumping agricultural or.
They've dumped there for
whatever kind of
years.
waste. I don't know if that's new. Is that?
They've dumped there for years.
Yeah.
So that's not a new issue.
No.
Okay.
Missouri's dumped there for a long time.
And again, both DEQ and Oregon Department of Agriculture are monitoring. My inquiry, of course, wasn't the first one. Perhaps you've had an inquiry or two yourself. I've had lots of confidence that lots of people that live around the area have been calling agencies, asking for review. So their response to me was, yep, we've been hearing this. So they are watching it very carefully, and they're trying to come to resolution. But again, my instincts tell me this is a process of watching this lagoon die. And once the CAFO permit, the contained animal feeding operation permit, is expired, the extra materials going in there will not be permitted. So they're still operating under that premise at this point. But I don't believe it's completely the new materials going in. It's a matter of the pond, the lagoon changing its dynamic and its biology.
I thought perhaps it's aided by the fertilization of the ground, distribution of the products.
Right. Well, when you irrigate that and atomize it, it absolutely makes a bigger air shed. So that's, I think, part of what we're experiencing right now. That was a lovely way for us to segue out of that. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, team. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any non-listed items? No? Okay. We are adjourned.